Hello, and welcome back, fellow metalheads, to the second episode of our mini-series in celebration of Covenant X, the 10-year anniversary of the festival taking place in Vancouver, BC between September 25th and 27th of 2025. Today, we bring you a conversation about the magic of spontaneous sonic creation, music as a form of conversation itself, if you will. Anakha, better known as Xolaryxis, is the vocalist, lead guitarist, and primary songwriter of Sorguinazia. Prepare yourself as we dive deep into her organic creative process, discover how this unique approach translates to the live performance, and explore the compelling link between music, magic, and human health. It's very nice to officially meet you, Catherine. I actually got the opportunity to see you guys in Edmonton 1 year from basically this time in Infest. It was my first time actually seeing you live, and it was really, really cool. So I have some questions around, stage presence and stuff like that, and that's really where that's coming from. But
Sure.
I heard that you just came back from another show in Latin America.
hmm Yeah, we played Bogota, Colombia, for Bogota Subterranean Fest, and that was probably the coolest thing that's ever happened to me almost in my career. So there's a lot of highlights, but I suppose that's probably like top 5.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Yeah, it's not something that a lot of, Canadian black metal bands get to do. So it's
hmm
something that I definitely want to dig into a little bit later in our conversation. To start though, I know that, a lot of folks have their start in metal in different ways, different influences and so on. So I want to start off the conversation just by asking around some of your earlier memories of metal and specifically black metal, because that is the type of music you currently do.
Yeah. I mean, I remember hearing Dunkelheit by *𝘊𝘰𝘯𝘷𝘦 for the first time. That was the first black metal song I'd ever heard. And it was like, holy shit, music can make you feel like this. Like I I was always kind of a weird spiritual pagan kid. Like I remember being it, re- the feeling of hearing Dunkelheit reminded me of being barefoot in the grass as like a kid, just praying to whatever was in the moss. That's how that song feels to me, and that's kind of what black metal is supposed to feel like to me. Of course, there's lots of different emotions and stuff that it can evoke, but I think that was like such a just powerful moment.
And so would you say that emotion essentially is what then inspired you to create Sorguinazia?
There's so many years in between, like there's lots of other stuff that goes into it, but I think like at its core, it's that feeling of like my God is part of like the dirt, you know, in that way, yes. I hope that I can make people feel that same way.
Yeah, for sure. Well, a lot of people, and even myself included, when I first heard Sorguinazia, it definitely felt more of that trance-like spiritual inducing kind of music. And so I'm sure people that have followed the project for a while definitely connect to that idea. We'll definitely dig into more around that too a little bit later. But that's a really good memory. And that's the thing, right? Like a lot of metal is memory inducing, similar to how, certain foods, certain scents or something like that bring you back to a time. And at least to me, that's what makes black metal very unique among the other genres.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like there's another moment. Like I used to play a lot of like progressive music. I used to have an instrumental like progressive band,
Hmm.
and I was just running into this spot of like feeling no passion for music anymore and getting this sensation of like, should I even be a musician and stuff? And my partner that started Sorguinazia with me he showed me a lot of really cool shit, but he showed me Ballad Contra by 𝘸𝘪𝘵, and I was like, holy fuck, like A minor can make you feel like that. You can do that with just, just you don't have to be doing crazy weird shit all the time. You can just play A minor and it can be so powerful. And so like it's funny I choose these like two like kind of extremely problematic bands, but I like to separate the art from the artist, and life is short and brutal, and if you can find joy somewhere, even if it's a quote unquote like bad person making you feel joy, I'll take it where I can get it, you know? But I'd say 𝘸𝘪𝘵 is also like a big influence on Sorguinazia
Hmm.
in that respect.
Yeah, and one thing that I wanted to ask, you specifically is actually the meaning of Sorguinazia. So I'm just curious to know, what the meaning behind that word is and how that may influence the music or the lyrical content.
Sorguinazia is a Chilean word. It's a tweak on the spelling of it a little bit, but it refers to the air before a storm. So when you're outside and you can feel like the change in the air pressure, and you can feel that electricity as the lightning is forming and the clouds are creating the static, like that's Sorguinazia.
Mm,
It's like a palpable electricity.
very cool. Yeah, that also definitely reflects in the music for those that have heard it, right?
I like it when things are harmonious. Like I want the lyrics and the band name and the art and the music to all like be harmonious with each other. But one of my favorite things is when an album sounds like the art looks. So one of my favorite experiences of this is 𝘊𝘰𝘯𝘷𝘦𝘬. It's Shark Attack by 𝘊𝘰𝘯𝘷, and it's the cover is just like the shitty like pencil crayon drawing of a guy riding two sharks, and that's exactly what the music sounds like, and that just brings me so much joy that it's like how do you capture exactly what this music is? It's two sharks being ridden by a guy. That's what 𝘊𝘰𝘯𝘷𝘦 sounds like.
Um,
um so
awesome.
I hope that I also can provide that in a slightly different context.
Hmm.
uh, Maybe not as, yeah, I'm not really like a shark riding band, but I want the album to kind of sound like what it looks like.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so, speaking a little bit more around Sorguinazia and the themes, I just took a look at, your Facebook page, and you've actually written a pretty cool kind of like representation of the band, and I wanted to dig into that a little bit more. So specifically, it says that Sorguinazia expresses savage Lilithian worship, exploring the lush visceral realms bordering existence and non-existence. So there's definitely, probably some pagan influence there, some other psychology, symbolism. I was hoping to dive into that a little bit more.
Yeah, of course. Like I know you wanted to know a little bit about like Lilith worship as well, but I guess the more important like philosophical sort of approach is always around dualism and non-dualism. So, it's sort of the artist's job to make mental ideas and spiritual ideas into physical reality. And what an immense amount of work that is, but it's basically like you're pulling something that doesn't exist into the realm of existence, right?
Mm.
And it's that oscillation between death and birth and something existing and something not existing. Like that is life, and that is what it means to exist, is to also be on that borderline of like not existing. right?
Yeah, it's like
Um,
the creative process in a way.
yeah, and it's just existence in and of itself. Like, I really like this line in Furs, Necromancy Cogent. It's in the opening track. I'm still a shape of the ever change. Like that is what reality is this constantly moving, pulsing, oscillating, rotting simultaneously as being born experience. And you are any sort of solidity or stasis that you can have is power, and like that is like existence is so fragile, and whatever you can create is like so precious, and it's so difficult to create something. um and I guess like in that aspect, like creating anything is sort of savage too, but part of it's also just to try to like use words to express what I think that the sonic experience is like, or what I want the sonic experience to be like. Like it should be brutal and pummeling, but also like lush and rich and some mystery as well.
Hmm. Yeah, and I wanted to touch on kind of that lush aspect, and bring it back to your performance at Infest last year. I'm not sure how often you bring props on stage for your shows, but that word lush really stood out to me specifically because last year, not only with Corpse Paint, but you also had like vines wrapping around the like your microphone, and kind
Mm.
of like this additional almost like crown of thorns almost. And I wonder how much that also plays into that representation, right, of the sound of the music, bringing that into existence now for like the stage performance. That must have been very, very much in alignment there.
Yeah, like I think that art should sort of be decadent in a way. Like it's very like sensation based. I noticed with some of the other stuff you're curious about, like with as far as like, oh, what I'm trying to do, or like what the lyric content is, and it's like it's usually just trying to express sensations or evoke sensations. And like I guess it's very like Dionysian in that way. Like I want people to have the experience of being in a primordial garden or swamp. Like I want it to be very rich, like sensorially rich. And I think that plants and bones and blood and all of that stuff is very like sensorially rich. And that's just part of what I enjoy. And so it's part of what I want to provide, I guess, as a performer as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, another aspect to this that I wanted to ask is around some of the actual like merch. I'm
Mhm.
thinking about like the demo, for example, where there's a lot of sigil work. Your merch table again is very, very put together, very thoughtful, right?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and I love
Comes
that
off like
because
that.
it's one of those things I'm sure again, you developed over time, but it makes a difference, right? It kind of whenever someone that hasn't met you or the rest of the band personally, it's very much like, okay, this is a complete package, right? That's kind of the impression it gives me.
Good.
Yeah. And so, yeah, in terms of like the sigils and stuff like that, that's all tied in together, right?
Yeah, like the demo is a sigil of Lilith, and I was just drawing it because I liked it. And my drummer there, my ex-partner Axor, he's like, that should be the cover of the demo. And I was like, okay. And so I did it again and again and again, and I did it again for the different sizes of things, and I smeared it with blood, and there's many copies of that early demo sigil. So it's always been a Lilithian band, and Lilith is, yeah, the primordial dark mother, like how I kind of view her. Like there's the demon Lilith, but I view her more as like more of like a Hecate, like dark mother, primordial mother sort of figure. Lots of different emanations of that energy stream and stuff as well. You don't really get to choose what you are, and but you should embrace what you are. and you should have mythologies and philosophies that empower you in who and what you are. And it's like, do I choose the things or do the things choose me? It's sort of like a relationship. It's like falling in love. You choose each other in a way, right? And you don't really choose what you love. You are drawn to it. You build commitments over time. It's like any other like relationship, and it's foundational to creating what Sorguinazia is and who I am.
Yeah. And then tying that to the creative process, I've heard you speak on this a little bit, but it's definitely starting to make even more sense with, how our conversation is going. You mentioned in other interviews when people are like, hey, what's your creative process? You're like, I don't really have one, but specifically you're trying to say like a lot of it is spontaneity and it's like organic, and you're not trying to set out to create one thing or the other. It's really just a representation of the time, or I guess I put it in there as like you're a conduit to something else, right? In those moments of writing and the creative process. So I wanted to get your take on that a little bit deeper, because I find that even for myself and a few other bands that I have spoken to, they're not like that. We want to create a Tolkien-inspired album, and then they go and they set off to do that, for example, right?
I hear those conversations a lot amongst my like friends and colleagues, and I wish I could do that. Like it's not like I choose to do one thing or the other. It's I work within my means and with my fluctuating mental and physical health. And like I have this joke where it's not really a joke, but Sorguinazia is what happens when I move my arms like this. Like that's just what this band is when I move my arms, right? So like it's all very like sensory, right? It's all very I view it a lot like speech. And so how I speak to different people is different, but I never really know how a conversation is going to go. I know with, so like with a drummer, for example, with I'll use Axor as a example, because we work together on everything basically that's out now. But it's like I know the kind of stuff that he likes to hear. I know how loud I should be when I'm talking to him. I know what's gonna get him excited or what's gonna piss him off, or like what or and it's like that with my other projects and stuff too. It's like it's nothing disingenuous to change how I speak a little bit if I'm speaking to someone else. It's like, oh, well, I know you really like punk, so I also like punk. I'm gonna do this. Like it's sort of it's conversational. So it's like I have my vocabulary, I have my ideas and my thoughts, but how I present them is going to be slightly different depending on my audience and just who I want to talk to. Like if I want to talk to you, I'm going to talk to you a certain way. If I'm talking to the next person, I'll cater. Catering makes it sound like I'm pandering, but it's not really pandering. It's not like I'm ever like saying something I don't want to say, but it's like it's more like I get an excuse to say something like this. If I know this person likes that, I get an excuse to like, oh, well, I get to let's make some weird shit, or oh, let's make something more traditional or whatever, depending on, what the mood is and what's gonna make people hyped and what's gonna, lead to some revelation or some beautiful art of some kind, right?
Yeah, I like that the idea that music is a conversation. That's very interesting.
It helps me also not lament too much the broken hard drives and the years of work getting destroyed here and there, or because every musician's got stories like that, I'm sure, because I have a couple that are just absolutely devastating. But if I think like I can still write something new, I can still talk, like I don't have to be so worried about losing something, because I can just talk some more later.
Yeah, that's a really good point. because, a lot of times, especially now that metal has been around for, decades, there's that conversation too of, oh, they were good then,
Yeah.
right? And so, this is a good mindset to have where you're like, well, no, I'm just creating as I evolve. So,
Yeah. And yeah, it helps me with that aspect of things too. There's a lot of I have that internalized like fear also. I think that most people do that all of your best shit's behind you. I am a dedicated self-hater. Like I not only is like everything that I'm gonna make now stupid, uh but like I thought I was stupid in the past, but I'll also never be that good again. Or like maybe I was good at some point in the past, but I suck now. Or or maybe vice versa. Like I will always come up with ways that I can fucking hate on my work. So it's good to try to be talking yourself out of that sometimes too.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Definitely sounds like perfectionism on crack right there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's also part of why the writing process is as it is if I were going to sit like so with the bass tracks, I guess like the main riffs, the main stuff, it's like it's a long process. It is organic in a way of like, it's working with the person. I don't like to record shit by myself. I've tried it. I don't really like it. I like working with a drummer. I don't really like the internet kind of shit. It's just boring. There's no way to. I don't know if I want to break here or there, if the riff should switch here or there, unless we're doing it. But that's just very arduous. Like that, like bass, layer writing is very arduous. So if I was gonna do that with my vocals and with my lead guitar and stuff, it would just never be done. It would never be finished.
Right. And this leads me to another point too, that I heard in past interviews, that you are pretty much 100% self-taught in the area of like recording, production, and through that you mentioned that there's a lot of experimentation that you go through. You kind of find some interesting textures and distortion that eventually, make its way into Sorguinazia's material. So,
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to, again, just understand, how did that start? Was it kind of something that you set out to do at the beginning? Is like, I want to do everything DIY, or is it just kind of, again, an organic process where you're like, hey, let's figure this out?
It's basically an organic process. Like I had Cubase and cheap interface almost since I first started playing guitar. Like, oh God, I've been doing my own recording since I was quite young, but nothing great. But it's always been sort of a necessity thing. Like I live in the middle of nowhere. I've never had a lot of money. And then once I moved to Edmonton and maybe had a bit more money, lots of people wouldn't work with me, I think just because I'm a chick. Like, I don't know. There's probably other reasons for it too. I'm kind of a psycho and I'm kind of a maniac. And, I'm sure there's lots of other reasons besides my gender that people don't want to work with me. But that was just no one wanted to work with me for a long time. And now that it's like maybe more people would work with me and maybe I have some money and maybe I have some connections and stuff, now I'm just a fucking perfectionist because I've been doing it myself for too long. Now, when anyone does a mix or a master for me, I just get angry because it's not how I want it, and or they're not giving it enough time. They don't notice some mistakes. They don't notice things that I would. So, like, it's yeah, it sort of started out from necessity, and now it's just a manner of being used to being in control. Like I wouldn't mind to have people like look at it and stuff after, but only after I'm mostly done.
Hmm. Yeah, and that kind of DIY spirit is also something that I saw in the artwork. Going back to that briefly, so,
Yeah.
you talked about the
Similar
demo, and then
similar thing.
yeah, and then you have the other two EPs, I believe, or no, there's a single. I'm sorry.
Okay.
And so those are your paintings, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like the demo is done with pen and the shading is like blood, It's mostly like pen and marker, I think. And then the full length negation and the single are both watercolor and blood.
It's even more powerful and visceral, as we were talking about. That's awesome. And then, yeah, it makes sense now that the music also portrayed through those pieces of artwork mesh well together. And yeah, I'm assuming that's something that's going to continue, like in future releases. It'll be your own artwork as well.
I think so. Like, it wasn't meant to be like that. We had when it came to the full length, we did have a couple different artists in mind. Things didn't work out, and they didn't work out, and they didn't work out. So I wasn't planning on using my art. In fact, like the piece that we chose, it was going to be just to show another artist what we wanted. And it ended up turning out quite well. I actually tried to do other drafts, but just that first draft ended up, just having like capturing some of the emotion of that was supposed to be there, and this like suffering, I guess.
Mm-hmm. The imagery is very, very interesting to me because it has kind of this almost nebulous shape. You actually have to stop and really look at it to actually find some of those either different like facial things, especially I'm thinking about like the single. And then in negation, I recall you saying that there was like a burning witch, which at the first time I saw, I had no idea, right? And so
No, people tell me that all the time. It's like because I made it, like I can tell exactly where everything is.
Right.
But yeah, I've had multiple people tell me it's like indiscernible, and I'm like, it is discernible. It's just it takes a while, perhaps.
Yeah, and no, but that's cool though, right? Because then for the project itself, it's something you always come back to. You find new things that you didn't anticipate before. And I just think that's the mark of the artist, right? Just kind of putting in a bunch of layers in there. And for those that take the time, there's definitely a big payoff. So I want to switch gears a little bit here around the lyrical content. So it looks to me that a lot of the lyrics kind of span across themes of psychology, human nature, but as well like your own personal experiences. So I'm just curious, is there a particular through line or lesson that you're trying to convey through that? Or as we discussed, it's more so kind of a spontaneous emotion that you're like, hey, I want to evoke this in the listener.
So lyrics are written last, or sometimes I'll take lyrics that, like I'll write poetry over long periods of time, and then I'll kind of peruse them once it's time to add lyrics to recordings. And I'll pick which piece sort of matches which song the most. And it'll be sort of a two-way street there. Like I might have certain ideas that I bring in from the written stuff that are changed or added, or kind of vice versa. But generally, like I don't write about anything that I haven't experienced. Like I really found it quite disappointing sometimes talking to bands that have extreme occult themes in their music. I'm not going to name any names because everyone's so sweet also, but it's very upsetting to me when I talk to bands that have, really intense lyrics about like the 𝘊𝘰𝘯𝘷𝘦 or just, chaos, magic, 𝘊𝘰𝘯𝘷𝘦, whatever occult topics, and I ask them like what's your practice, and they don't have one. They just read it in a book and they think it sounds cool. I guess for some bands like 𝘊𝘰𝘯𝘓, it's like I hope that they're not doing that shit. But
yeah.
But for bands with more like philosophical or spiritual or magic lyrics, like it's like I saw a quote somewhere where it's like sitting on top of a treasure chest and being like, wow, isn't this a cool treasure chest? And it's like, there's fucking gold in there. You could be like buying stuff. You could do anything with this treasure chest. You're just sitting on top of it, talking about how cool it is.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I try not to do that. I try to only talk about stuff that I've seen or felt or experienced, or when it comes to the occult aspect of the lyrics, which is the primary kind of focus. Like there's a couple of tracks that are more, I guess, like psychological in the way that they're more personal, like about grief and loss and again, like I guess it all comes down to like physical sensations and experiences. So whether those experiences be of strictly like spiritual, non-relational, I guess, as in like not about relationships between humans. I guess it's all relational, right, to some degree. But some stuff is more like specifically grief oriented, or one of the main like other things that'll come up is just like making peace with the ever change, which of course involves loss as well as gain. You can't be always adding. You need solve and coagula, you know?
Right.
But the solve, oh, that's the hard part, is letting stuff go.
For sure. Yeah. I love that though. It's it's interesting because so for me personally, I'm not very well versed in things in the occult. So it would be harder for me versus yourself to kind of pick out things that are just, for lack of a better word, show and tell, and things that are personally experienced, right?
Oh yeah. Well, even me, a person who I with a lot of experience, I still find it hard to tell who's who, right? It's pretty easy after some conversations, but you know, some people really surprise me. Like I remember when the demo first came out, and I went to give one to Sebastian from all the bands, you know, Mitochondrion and Agalock, and or not Agalock, what's his first band? Auroch, that's the band. Yeah, Egregore, all that stuff. And I went to hand it to him, and he's like, "Oh, I recognize the Sigil of Lilith immediately, right?" And it was like, "Oh, what the hell?" You know, when you talk to like death metal guys, you don't always assume that the death metal guys. It's like he's not just a death metal guy, but this is when I first like met him.
Right.
And it's like he just recognized immediately. He knows shit. He's like, just the look in his face. It's like, oh, he's seen some shit. It's good, right? But you don't always know, right? There is like this, I don't know, electricity in people who like have actually seen the shit, right? But it's just like anything else. It's like any other emotion. Like I heard a quote too. It was like, you don't believe in God, you experience God, right? It's, you can never convince an atheist of anything, because I was an atheist. You couldn't convince of anything. It's like trying to explain to someone love. It's like, that doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, why would I believe in that? And then you experience it, right? So it's the same kind of stuff. When you see some weird shit, you're like, okay, that's weird.
Yeah, that's super cool. I really appreciate that that perspective on the lyrics.
Yeah, so that's what I'm trying to tell you about it, but it's like I'm telling you about love. I'm telling you about whatever, right? Like, so if you've experienced it, you'll be like, "Oh shit, okay." But I don't know. I think everyone's had some experiences, but it's also like eyes for those who see, and the fact that you're just interested in it enough to be, you know, interviewing me or other people about these kinds of things shows like if the curiosity is there, like you'll see some crazy shit at some point.
Hey, well, I'll report back whenever that happens then. Okay, so I want to switch gears again. I want to talk a little bit more about touring specifically.
Sure.
So, as I've seen, you know, throughout, you know, your social media, you know, primarily, you know, being based in Western Canada, you've been able to, you know, tour across Canada, actually, even in Quebec, which is also a very big hub for black metal. But you've had the opportunity to tour in the US a little bit, in Europe, and then, as you mentioned recently, in Latin America, specifically in Colombia. So I'm just curious, you know, from your perspective, having now gone to these other places where metal exists, like, has anything surprised you or been different from how metal is perceived in Canada, or even just like the fans or the promoters? Like, I'm curious to know what your experience has been.
People are a little bit different everywhere, but at the end of the day, like they're not that different. There's just some like eccentricities, like basically anywhere south of the United States, everyone wants fucking autographs. Like that's just a really common thing.
Hmm.
People really want hard copies of music. They don't care as much about t-shirts. T-shirts are like the biggest selling thing in Canada, I would have to say. I've actually never played the States before, but just from visiting and stuff, it's like, yeah, just kind of what people want is a little bit different. People's attitudes are like a little bit different, but maniacs are maniacs. Like if you're a hardcore metal freak, like everyone likes a lot of the same shit. Everyone's excited for a lot of the same stuff. Um, it sort of depends on like your crowds and your friends are a little bit different everywhere, but it's the variation within a city between different fans is wide. I could say like, oh, people seem like more intense here, more intense there, but it's like I know fucking hardcore collectors and enthusiasts all over the world, and an enthusiast, no matter where they're at, is a enthusiast. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
yeah. So there's some differences, but mostly similarities.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's great to hear. Yeah, I mean, for me, I've gone to a few shows in the States, definitely in Canada as well, and yeah, have noticed like a little bit of a difference just in terms of maybe how intense the fandom is, perhaps.
It might just be just straight up how many people too, right? Like if you're going to Mexico City and there's like a shitload of people, if you're going to Bogota and there's a shitload of people, it's like even if the percentage is the same when you're going to a place that has, millions of people versus being in Canada, it's just going to be like smaller number of people. And just like there's cultural differences too. Like I'd say like people are probably friendlier in certain places. Canada, it's like we have a reputation for being polite, but I'd say like a lot of Canadians are just fucking assholes, personally. Like a lot of Americans are fucking assholes. Everyone's really nice to me in Mexico and Bogota and shit. But.
And so, you mentioned that you just came back from the Bogota Metal Festival.
Yeah.
And so I want to just tie that back to our conversation around the music. And I'm curious to know that because there's a lot of this kind of spontaneity, experimentation when it comes to the recording of the music, how much of that actually translates to the live show? And so specifically is like
too much, probably.
Is a lot of it like improvised? Yeah.
Yeah, so like the band follows the tracks. So like as they're written, I use tabs very heavily. So it's like everything is tabbed out, everything is recorded. They learn the stuff that's tabbed and recorded. They have some freedom here and there, but it's for the leads and the vocals and stuff. It's probably 90% improvised, depending on the track. Like a lot of it's different. It'll be different every time. I'll even change the lyrics sometimes. Like the last performance, I was having this absolutely fucking incredible conversation about, I guess, like just like some aspects of just being alive, what it means to like do good work or be a good person, or at this part of the world where the world's just burning, at this part of history, I guess. Like that ends up getting incorporated in some of the lyrics like later on at the show. I'm not sure what he does in Insanguinate. I think he's a bass player in Insanguinate, but he's a really cool guy. Teacher also. And
guitar teacher?
No, he's English and like a social teacher. And so it's like looking at him in the audience, and it's just like it's already, like negation of delirium, like that's already like part of the lyrics, but it's like the verbiage and stuff will be influenced by like what I'm thinking about at the time or who I see in the audience because I'm talking to them, right?
Right.
And it's an interesting way to continue a conversation.
Very interesting. Huh.
Yeah,
Okay.
each audience gets something slightly different.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I because it's part of who you naturally are as an artist. Like to me, that's great, and it makes every show unique in that way.
If my memory was better and my hands were better and I was more consistent of a person, I'd probably have things more consistent. But I have chronic health conditions and stuff, and they're gonna get what they're gonna get.
Right.
I'm gonna give what I got, and they're gonna get what they're gonna get, and they're gonna like it.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. So, talking a little bit about like teaching, I noticed that you've been a guitar teacher for a very long time, and part of your philosophy. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I gathered is that there's this teaching that you have about music being like magic, and then also how that may intersect with overall human health. So I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about like why you think that trifecta is very important in life.
Sure.
And kind of more around that philosophy.
So again, it's all about this intersection between like emotions and biology and the psychology and stuff, and I'd say spirituality, because I don't think that there's any barrier between biological, and psychological and spiritual. We often want to like chop things into separate little pieces to look at them, but your psychology and your philosophy and everything is so correlated. Like when you feel excited, when a piece of music makes you feel excited, you just have to grab your friend and go like, right? That's a physical thing that's happening to you. That's a physical thing that this music is causing for you to happen. And so those physical sensations are based off of your sodium ion channels firing. It's different neural patterns. It's causing hormonal effects. It's releasing all sorts of like endorphins and dopamine and serotonin and blah, blah, blah. And so like as a musician, as a magician, when you're doing magic, that's what you're working with is the physical sensations in the body to create magnetic patterns. And when you cast a spell, you are using all these different tools or whatever, or just your body to create a shape of power that you push out into the world or into a certain thing, into a certain whatever. And music's the exact same thing, literally the exact same thing. I move my hands like this and the sound goes out and people hear it. You're literally shaping their neurological impulses when they're hearing this thing. Frank Zappa called it sound sculptures, which I really like. And he also said like music is the best. Like love isn't this, happiness isn't that, music is the best, right? Out of all of these things, it is like a medicine, and it's not the only medicine, but your social and spiritual and everything, all of these interactions have such a profound impact on your health. Where you sit in a social structure has an impact on your health. So when you're with people who all love the same art as you, and you are experiencing something that is like sensorially pleasing and powerful and potent, and you're with good friends and you're drinking good drinks and you're eating good food, like you should feel like a fucking king, and your hormones and your brain and stuff, if you feel like a fucking king, you are a fucking king, right? And that's good for you to feel like that. Like it's literally great. Like you're getting all of these cues that it's like you are fucking doing it, things are good. And that's so important. I struggle so much with this concept of like what is important. I was talking with one of my really good friends, and he's like, I was talking about how fucking tired I was because we had just had this 40-hour drive back, basically from Toronto, because we got fucked by Air Canada when we did those shows out east.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, at least you're doing something important.
Mm.
And I was like, if I wanted to do something important, I'd be, learning how to make small improvised electronic devices and working on my marksmanship if I wanted to do something important, and he's like, do you have to like do that really to do something important? And the more I think about it, it's like, maybe not, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe art is important.
For sure.
Maybe it is medicine, and maybe it is a necessary thing,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely, something interesting there is about connecting your emotions to the body,
Mm-hmm.
and then how, in this case, frequency, aka music, affects that. Right. That's
Yep.
very, very true. It goes all the way back to the first part of our conversation, right? The 𝘁𝘰𝘯𝘷𝘦𝘮 song made you feel a certain way, and then you chase that moving forward with other music, right?
Exactly.
Everybody has that experience, right? So
I hope so. And if they haven't, they should. And you say you've never experienced anything from the occult, or like you've never experienced like whatever. That is a valid fucking spiritual experience to have. If music makes you fucking feel like you're part of the universe, like you can feel your feet in the moss and just like have this peace. There's like a peace, but it's also exciting, it's like this invigorated, what did Steve I say? It's like light without heat.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
That's a spiritual experience.
That is fair. That is very fair.
And yeah, maybe it's important.
100% agree. All right. So I want to conclude today just by kind of asking the question I'm sure a lot of longtime fans are asking themselves.
Longtime fans. That sounds so crazy.
Right?
We've been around for 9 years, I guess. So there's probably longtime fans.
There we go. Yeah, since the beginning. Are you working on any new material? Can you give us any insight on that?
Yes. Yeah, the eternal question. It's like, when can we expect new music? I just wrote lol.
Right?
You'll get it when you get it. I'm working on it. Fuck. It's hard. Yeah, it's hard, but I'm working on it. Axor might come back to write some drums. I have a really great live drummer, but he's not in Edmonton. There's not too many drummers that I know in Edmonton that are capable of writing really great black metal, and Axor obviously is like a huge influence on how the song structures and stuff are. Like, I've always wrote the riffs, but it's like he'll usually help with the structures. He's really into like we're both really into like tempo changes and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a really unique drummer that like wants to do those types of challenges, and who is also local. So we'll see if he'll come out of retirement for a little bit here. We've been talking, but that'll help the newer stuff have more of that like pulse to it, because I really just don't want to be the standard that I hear all the time, because your drummer's in Slovenia and your guitarist is in the UK and then your bassist is in Chile. It's like sometimes you just need to be in a fucking room together and make something that breathes. And I tried to do it the other way and I just really don't like it.
Yeah, totally fair.
So yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. Are there any like newer influences that have come up so far in the writing process that maybe have not been part of the previous releases?
Not really like new influences, but I'd say like, with the swampier kind of idea, like what's sort of the influence on like the swampiness, and like 𝘁𝘁𝘯𝘷𝘦𝘮 is like a big influence on that. Like the newer tracks are in this down tuning, because I was starting a project with 𝘁𝘁𝘯𝘷𝘦𝘮, that fizzled out. But so like that antediluvian 𝘊𝘆𝘵𝘯𝘊𝘵𝘩 kind of like sludgy
Mm.
uh it's like really in my brain with these new tracks. So not so much like he was a foundational member of Sorguinazia. He was our first bass player, first like serious bass player. Uh, but yeah, more of like a 𝘸𝘪𝘵 𝘇𝘀𝘀𝘀 furs, like just more like kind of, I don't want to say like doomy necessarily, but just more like plotting and like menacing versus just like fast and crazy.
Mm.
As like literally swampy. Like I want it to be sticky. I want it to be like a like through the mud sort of vibe.
That sounds great. Looking forward to hearing that whenever it comes out.
Yeah, so I really love the way that the single came out. That's part of why I just had to release it when I did, because it was just so fucking awesome. That's the most proud I've ever been of my recording and my vocals and stuff. Like that's the pinnacle of what I've created as an artist, in my opinion. So I'm hoping the rest of the album will be up to that caliber, at least in my own mind. So
fantastic. So last question I'm going to ask you is, let's say someone is tuning in and hearing about Sorguinazia for the first time with our conversation today. What do you hope that they receive from listening to the music?
I just want them to feel something. I want them to, put the headphones on or fucking crank it up really loud. And I want them to have a visceral reaction, whether that's joy or disgust or wonder or peace or whatever it is. I just want people to feel something that's beyond your day-to-day experience. I want people to like know about, so what we were talking about before, about that sensation of your feet on the ground and holy shit, like maybe there is something more than what we can see with our eyes. I want people to feel that.
Excellent. Well, I want to thank you again for your time, and look forward to seeing Sorguinazia in Vancouver for Covenant X.
And we'll hopefully have some leaves and stuff if we have enough time.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
well, I appreciate the conversation.
You as well.
Take care.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.